That's cool.
All right. So, yeah. So I'm here with Ivan Mike, 1968, and geez, I forgot the name of your new channel, Brian.
Stochastic Agency.
Stochastic Agency. That's right. All right. So we're just gonna do a little test of the Star Wars FFG combat system, and just to learn the rules. Right. We've all dabbled in it, but we're gonna try and see if we can make it work. So, Brian told us to make a couple of characters, or at least one character each, and bring a couple of ships, and we'll try and make some sense of it. I was thinking, what ships did you bring, Ivan?
Well, yeah, I brought my pilot Bo Duke, and what do you got?
D-U-K, D-U-K,
Yeah,
Bo,
that's
D-U-K,
B-O apostrophe D-U with that little line over a K. Bo Duke. And and so and I brought one V4N as a backup.
Nice.
But as far as ships, I figured I'm gonna go really super vanilla, and I'm gonna fly a TIE fighter. And
okay.
maybe and then I've got a backup the Y-wing. So pretty much the fire and ice. You got the one really fast but incredibly fragile ship, and this other ship that's really nowhere near as maneuverable, not quite as fast, but it's a lot more. It can take a lot more pounding.
Yeah. And how about you, Brian? What were you thinking?
So I made 2 aces, 1 ace pilot, 1 ace gunner, just in case we get into pilot co-pilot situations. So for the pilot co-pilot ship, I chose a Lancer class pursuit craft. And then for the pilot only craft, I chose the Mandalorian Fang Starfighter.
Ooh, nice. All right. So, wow. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, no, because I don't have the stats for the Mandalorian or the Lancer. I'll have to dig them up as we need them. But as long as Brian has them, then
I got cards here.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's interesting. So I had a little scenario planned out. But Ivan has the TIE Fighter, and you could use the Mandalorian, and maybe I'll just GM against you. Would you... Let's see, how do we want to handle this?
Before we begin, can we kind of just lay out some conventions for the practice real quick?
Sure.
So one of the things I want everybody to kind of keep in mind is a little bit what Anthony talked about here for the Star Wars combat. And even though we may be trying to learn the rules, we might want to take the opportunity to say maybe narrate, describe first, and then just outright call the maneuver or action that we're doing. So we get a chance to kind of do both. That way we can get into the habit of illustrating or describing what we want to do, and then connect that with a rule or an action maneuver. The other thing is we might want to start out low on the complexity level. So we start in open space potentially with no terrain. That way we can avoid the speed versus hull difficulty for moving through an asteroid field. If we keep it simple to start with.
Sure.
And the other thing is, remember, this is practice, so we're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna, might blurt something out by accident or whatever, but just to have fun with it. So.
Sure thing. I agree completely. So, let's see. We can get a TIE Fighter and
Okay, so
a Mandalorian ship. Maybe we could do an ambush of maybe some Rebel Starfighters. How does that sound?
Sure.
So let's see. So maybe we could think of it as instead of being an Imperial TIE Fighter, maybe it's some sort of pirate outfit with a Mandalorian ship and the TIE Fighter. Maybe it's been pirated, actually, and you guys are maybe lying in wait, and there's I don't know. Let's put a convoy of X-wing fighters and see what happens. So these ships are coming in to explore. Let's use this for the Mandalorian. And let's use a TIE fighter. Now, the idea of this is just to keep relative ranges, right? I'm not expecting this to be any, I think this is the best.
It's a good visual.
Right.
But yeah, and of course it's inverted, but I have no idea how to flip it. So I just made medium, short, and close, just to keep track. And let's put in a couple of X-wing groups. So let's call it. Let's start by imagining, this asteroid belt, and there are 4 X-wing fighters, 2 groups of 2, coming in to investigate the area. Maybe they've heard reports of pirate activity in this belt, and they're coming to explore. So you need to get rid of these starfighters before they hyper out and give away the location of your pirate base. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's go to. Do you guys have the roller? I put the address for the.
Yep.
For the Owen Mead. So let's start rolling destiny points.
Hey. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Are we gonna call ourselves White Destiny Points?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hooray!
Yeah, players are always the white, so.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Just to keep it straight.
Hey, all right.
Oh my God! There's wow. This thing went insane with 50 rolls for Ivan, but
yeah, I don't know why I did that.
I'm gonna call it.
Take my first one, man.
I'm gonna call 2. I'm gonna call 2 white for you, and Brian has 1 white, so it's looking good for the team.
We're gonna spend them really fast.
There we go. That's a good start. Okay, so I am actually going to steal Antoine's the CGA's wonderful initiative tracker that he did, just so I can keep it straight in my mind, and when we see the video later, at least you guys will know. I'm gonna use the Imperial marker for you guys for initiative. So let's just say that you are on patrol. So you are aware that these guys, you're actually on the lookout for trouble. So let's call vigilance rolls, I think, for everybody, because you're not, you're on patrol, but you're not really expecting anything. These guys are just hypering in.
Okay.
And we'll see how that works out. Why not? So, if I recall correctly, vigilance goes off of will.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm going to roll vigilance for my guys. Let me refresh that. I think my Owen media is a little bit.
Go ahead. You got it.
There we go. Okay, so that's 1. And I'm going to roll separate for the 2 groups. There we go. So that's their vigilance. How about yours?
Oh, we rolled. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. So, okay.
Looks like player, good guys, player, good guys, or no, good player, good guys, player. Well, yeah. we're the bad guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys the first. I'm gonna give it to Brian, and then one of the bad guys, and then the other bad guy,
and then us. Okay, yeah, and we're first and last.
Yeah, so that's not bad. So, all right. So these ships. Let's say you guys are cruising at speed of 3, maybe for patrol.
Sounds good to me.
You're not expecting trouble, right? So you've been cruising at a speed of 3. And, that's the other thing I wanted to get. Let me see if I can get my dice out of here.
So what's the maximum speed on your ship, Ivan?
Then it would be a 5.
You're 5? Okay. So I'm 6. Your silhouette 3?
That's correct.
Okay. What's your handling?
+3.
Okay, we're both +3. You have shields fore and aft,
Zip.
right? You got no.
Yep,
Yeah, you're
nothing.
playing the TIE fighter. Okay,
Zip,
so I
zip.
have shields. I do have shields fore and aft. What's your thresholds?
The hull threshold is 6. The strain is 8.
Ooh. Okay, I'm 10 and 10.
It's a TIE fighter. I mean, what do you want?
I know. I just keep forgetting how tinfoily they are.
Yeah.
I'm Bo Duke. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And this thing, as it's pirate, it's got just graffiti all over it. And like,
Exactly.
I don't need to tell you what's like been painted on the hood. But it's got 01 on the solar panels.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are at medium range for you right now.
Okay, so they're currently at medium range. So we're moving at 3.
Mm-hmm.
So one of you guys goes first.
Well, I'm a little bit more heavily armored than armed, I'm sure. So do you want me to swoop in first?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So as we're seeing the convoy, now the dice, does that mean 2 and 2 minions?
Yes.
Okay. So as we're seeing the...
and that's the speed. That's the speed that they're cruising as well. Yeah.
Okay. So as we see them coming in, since I'm already at speed 3, and they are at medium range.
Medium range, yes.
So I'm speed 6 class. So I can spin a maneuver to close with 1 maneuver, correct?
Speed 3 with 1 maneuver gets you between close and short. You need 2 maneuvers to go between close and medium.
I'll go ahead and take the strain.
All right, so you're going to perform 2 maneuvers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the strain.
And you're going to get within close of them.
Okay, strain on the ship.
Strain on the ship and strain on the pilot. This is where it gets a little bit...
That's okay. They are no match. All right. So I'm going to zip out from behind the asteroid that we're tucked in behind. Mm-hmm. And as my action, I am just going to... That's my maneuver. Mm-hmm. As I'm coming in, they are in my forward arc. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to kind of lean into the views, the front shield of the window screen, and I'm just going to go ahead, jerk back on the controls and open fire. Mm-hmm. So forward arc, I'm going to go ahead and try and open up with proton torpedoes first.
Whoa! All right.
It's a damage 8, crit 2. We are in short range, below short range, so...
yes, right. You can engage. The range just means that you can engage. The critical factor is the ship silhouette, but they're the same silhouette as you, if I believe. Right?
Yeah, I'm a silhouette 3.
Yeah, so it's 2
yeah.
Difficulty. It's an average difficulty to shoot.
2. And that goes off gunnery, right? Mm-hmm. So what we got here? Gunnery. So that's 2, and agility is 4. So that's 2 green and 2 yellow. Oh man, that's crappy. So 1 success and a threat.
All right. So 1 success on the thing is what, 9 damage, I believe.
Proton torpedoes damage 8.
Yeah, you know what? You had to roll 1 black die for the shields. I forgot okay. that the ship has shields. So just roll a single black die.
All right. That. I'll reset here. Oh, ignore that.
Yeah, just reset it and.
Ignore that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Reset.
Yeah, you got to reset the whole thing. That's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So it's 1 failure actually. So the torpedoes miss, and you get a threat on top of that. So let's see.
Lay it on me.
Yep, I think you come out of the turn trying to fly towards the enemy, but you have to watch the edge of that asteroid, and that sort of distracts you from getting a good shot, right? So you fire off before the target lock acquires, and that's why the missile goes wild. You take a strain is what I'm going to give you, just a personal strain, because the difficulty of flying next to the asteroid. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So at this point, both of the ships realize that you're here, and then you see the S-foils open up to the attack position, and let's see what we're going to do. So I think at this point they are going to... I think they're going to fire back at you, is the first thing they're going to do with their lasers. So these guys have gunnery of 1. So it's 1 yellow, 2 greens. It's a difficulty of 2. Do you have shields on?
Shields, I have 1 in the 4.
All right, so that's a 1. And I think they just try and start moving towards you, since you're already in close range. They face off and open fire on you. Anything else? Yep.
And how does armor figure?
Armor is the equivalent of soap. So the shield dice that you have are black die against the other guy for shooting you. So let's see how this first shot goes. Ooh, so it is a miss, but it is a single advantage. All right, so they start firing as they turn to you, and let's see, that advantage, we're just gonna give a boost die to their comrades, because they realize that you are, they're radioing back. We got the pirates, and so you can see the other ships take notice. The second thing they do is they're going to do a maneuver, and they go into evasive action, right? So these are undergoing evasive actions. Actually, yeah, that sounds... Oh, no, wait, they can't do that.
He's got to be at speed 3+.
They got to... What they're going to do is accelerate, and it's just going to accelerate to attack speed, right? So they'll be at a speed 3. And that's their turn. And so we go on to Ivan.
Oh, no, don't you have the other group?
No, they go
we're
after.
Dead last.
No, I split them in 2 groups. One is,
Right,
they're 2 groups of 2.
Oh, okay, no, I got you, because our initiative was pretty much first, and then you had two different initiatives last. Yeah, and I rolled dead last.
Did you roll dead last? Oh, okay. So,
dead last, man. I'm rolling like you in Circle of Hands, bro.
Okay, it happens. It happens. So, in that case, the other group realizes what's going on, and so they will
with their boost die, hooray.
Yeah. Can I punch it with minions? Let me see if I can punch it with minions.
Punch it?
Yeah, the punch it maneuver requires strain, but it's ship strain, so it's not character strain. So I'm going to rule that the characters can't take the strain, but the ships can, right? Does that make any sense? So, yeah, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to move. So they will take some strain and accelerate to full speed, which is 5. And after they accelerate, they begin to move. They're going to do the pilot maneuver. and that would incur additional strain. So no, because they're just not gonna attack. So they convert their action to another pilot only maneuver, and with a speed of 5, they can just close the distance in a single maneuver to within close range. So they are trying to engage you guys. They're close to both of you, but that's as far as they can get this round. So it's up to 11. Yep.
Fantastic. All right. Well, now they're in close range. So that's within my weapon range, which is good. So let's see. Firing is an action, or is it not?
Yes, sir.
And then let me see. And then I get one maneuver. So what do I want to do? How do I want to do this? I'll tell you what. I really want to get to speed 5 as fast as possible. So I got to punch it. Which is 1 system strains per speed gain. So here's the question I got procedurally. Accelerate or decelerate increases or reduces the speed vehicle increases or decreases speed by 1. So that would be free to get me up to 4. But if I punch it, that means it's going to be 1 strain per speed gain. So it's going to cost me 2 strain to immediately go to speed 5, right?
Correct.
That's the idea?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can do it in a single maneuver, right? Because
in a single maneuver. And then, so I'm going to punch it and fire.
Yeah, so you and if you want to spend 2 strain, you could do an additional maneuver, right? Just like normal combat, but that costs additional strain. So, but it's fine.
No,
it's fine.
because firing is an action, if I understand correctly, and punching it is just getting me up to speed, so I can really start to, fly with these guys.
Sure. I'm just reminding you that normally per round you get 1 maneuver and 1 action for free, and if you want to spend a second maneuver, then you can spend strain to do that. So.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm already getting strain at this point. I'm just wondering if it's really advantageous to punch it in the first place, or would that really? Nah, the hell with it.
I mean, the vast majority of our maneuvers are going to be beneficial at 3 and above. So
yes,
right.
As long as you're at least at 3, you should be fine. Unless you're trying to gain the advantage, and that's where the speed differences become. Right.
That's kind of where I'm going. I'm looking for gain the advantage. This little cheat sheet, and I'm not finding it.
It's an action. It's
an action.
You got to be 4+ and on your speed.
Yeah.
Right.
You already have the speed. It's just the difficulty of the action.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm going to punch it, and I'm going to fire.
Okay.
That's fine. So then I'm going to fire at one of these minion group, or one of the. I'm firing at the ship, not necessarily group. Or I'm firing at the group, aren't I?
You're firing at the group, correct?
Okay.
The trick is that they have shields, so you need to add 1 black die to your action.
Right. And here's a question, because I just realized I've never flown a ship that didn't have negative handling.
Oh,
nice. So because I've got the +3. No, really, the Queequeg has -1 handling.
That is correct.
So with the +3 handling, I forget what the hell that's giving me. That's not really giving me boost dice except when?
Except when you're rolling a piloting check. So if, for example, you were going to try to gain the advantage, that would give you 3 blue die on your piloting check. But I'm so used to like my piloting skill negating the black dice. I was like, I've never flown a good ship. Okay. So you get 2 purple die difficulty and 1 black boost die for the X-Wing shields.
Okay, and so yes, I absolutely just made this guy, like I said before we started recording, like can't tie his shoes because like I sunk all of his skills into this. So I'm going to so I'm rolling. Literally, his gunnery is 1 green, 3 yellow. Ooh. It's awful. You
have destiny points. You can upgrade if you want.
I know. I'm waiting till I'm in real trouble. This is just this is just the letting them know that I'm here.
Okay. Oh my dear. God, that is fantastic.
Now their damage is 6, so that's 10 altogether. Critical is 3. Does that mean?
Let me take a look real quick here. Okay, so the forward weapons is damage 6, critical 3. And you have a linked 1.
Right.
The cost to activate linked is it
nothing
2?
I have.
Let check.
I certainly don't. I don't have no advantages. I only have threats.
To go on linked.
How many successes do you need? I mean, how many
Well,
advantages do you need?
you
2?
spend advantages to gain the additional hit.
Correct.
Yeah.
But how many of those do you? Oh,
2.
you don't have advantages.
I have threats, dude. I gave you currency.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. All right, but 4 plus 6 is usually 10 points of damage.
That's my So I'm just screaming at them, like just kind of pretty much screaming in the cockpit, even though they can't hear it. That like ridiculous yeehaw as I'm just buzzing these guys, like, here we are, buddy.
All right, so you just buzz right at them, and you open fire, and as you swoop by, one of the X-wings just explodes into debris, right? And one of those minions is gone. So
that's right. I'm just rolling around like an idiot, like I'm just trying to scare the bejesus out of them.
Yeah, but that was pretty good. But that costs you some threat.
2 threat.
All right.
And I've already taken 2 strain, just like,
Okay, but you're so focused on getting this guy that you actually open yourself up to the other X-Wing, who takes the advantage to... let's see, what's he going to do? He is going to... Oh, wait, gain the advantage is a pilot action. So he can get a free maneuver. I'm going to say that he engages in evasive action. So he's now evading. All right.
So that occurs the next time he's up.
No, this is immediate free maneuver because you roll 2 threat, and that gives your opponent an immediate free maneuver in response to your check. Oh. So that's how he manages to you see him start juking and spinning as you take down his wingman. And then we are back to the top of the initiative order, and it's
just a curiosity though. At that point, like, I mean, just from a mechanical standpoint, like, I already kind of didn't hit him anyway. So wouldn't that be something that he gets next time? I mean, I'm trying to shoot myself in the foot here, but it seems like
the way the game has it stated, that I'm reading off of the GM screen.
Right.
It says, with 2 threat, an opponent may immediately perform 1 free maneuver in response to the active character's check.
Right.
So it sounds like it takes effect immediately, except it cannot violate the 2 maneuver per... actually, it will violate the 2 maneuver. So, because he already did it. Yeah.
It's counting as incidental outside the combat.
Yeah. I don't know if that extra maneuver violates the maximum 2 per...
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, in terms of like it actually physically affecting me or like mechanically being bad for me, whether that should count the next round. You know what I mean? I don't know, like, in the spirit of the rules, how that actually works. Because otherwise, I kind of already missed him, so it doesn't really make sense to narrate him taking more evasive maneuvers because who cares? I missed him.
But it's a minion group, right? So you took down one of the minions. Okay. So in response, you know what? Let's we'll figure it out later if it does or does not violate. Let's just have him do the evasive maneuvers, just to see how those work. Okay.
Hey, trust me, I'd rather it works that way because then I can shoot him again.
All right. So this brings us back to the top of the initiative. So it's either you or Brian may go again. This is a new round. So who wants to take that? Yeah.
Oh, please, let the guy with a good ship go.
All right, Brian. So
I'm
in the middle of this fur ball, everybody is around. There's now 3 X-Wings, though.
I'm going to lean hard down on the throttle and accelerate up 1 to 4.
Excellent.
And then I am going to, since there's 2 left in my group, I'm going to perform a... starboard side spiral bank maneuver to corkscrew around them and go into evasive maneuvers as my action.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. So those are your 2 maneuvers for this round. All right.
No, because wasn't Isn't gain advantage in action?
You said you're doing accelerate?
Just accelerate.
And
Because I only have to move up one.
Okay, and then what's your action?
To perform the gain advantage. That's my...
Oh, gain advantage. I thought you said evasive action. All right, so let's...
I'm going to gain advantage.
Let's look at the gain advantage just to make sure we have it correctly.
So I'm up to speed 4.
Yeah, and he's up to speed 3. So you got... let's see. The initiating ship is faster, so your difficulty is 1. Are you 2? No, you're not 2, so it's just...
Yeah, still same silhouettes.
Yeah, it's still the same silhouettes. Geez, I can't follow the Alexandrians description on it. Yeah. And
you want me to read it for you?
Yeah.
I got it right here if you want me to.
What's the page? Let me just open up because I should have it.
247.
Here we go. Okay. So initiating ship is traveling at the same speed. No, initiating ship is 1 or more higher than the target. It's an easy check for you. You have to make a piloting check, so you add your handling to your dice pool, right, as boost die.
Yep. That's a handling of 3. And I got piloting.
And that's
space.
pretty much it. That's all you need, right? Okay.
Piloting space is 3 and agility is 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and wait a second there. So that's 1 green and 3 yellow. All right, so that's 3 boost dice for the handling.
Yes.
3 for the skill, and then 1 there, and then 1
purple for difficulty. Yeah.
Okay. Bam. 2, 4, 5 advantages, and 2 successes.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Yeah. So with those 2 successes, you. Oops, did we lose Brian?
It looked like we did.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully he'll come back. But
Oh, there he is.
All right. Sorry about that.
he blew himself up with this incredible success.
It
just like
was so great.
Rammed it with his own ship. Yeah.
Crashed my system.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's a kamikaze.
So you have
Mental.
5 advantages. You can do a couple of things with that.
well, I'm definitely going to be pulling boost dice for my next maneuver or my next action. That's definitely going to be 1.
Okay. You could give yourself an immediate free maneuver if you want. I don't know if that... Because you did 1 maneuver and 1 action, so you could get a free extra maneuver if you so desire. Like you could keep speeding up, or, it's free if you want it. It costs 2 to get that.
If I understand the way a hit is dictated, if they shoot at me, unless they are in, and I get to dictate where the hit goes, right?
When you are shot, when you receive the shot, you say where you take it.
Okay.
If you have the advantage and you're shooting, normally the target picks where they're hit, but when you have gained the advantage, the shooter picks where they hit. So, yeah. So
when they shoot at me, I will get to dictate where it goes.
Yeah, that's always goes like that. Always goes like that.
So I'll spend the, what is it, 2 advantages for the maneuver?
2 advantages gives you a free maneuver, yes.
So 2 advantages, as I'm going into the spiral to kind of dive around them, I flip and re-angle the deflector shields to 4, so now I have both my shields powered up in front of me.
Excellent.
Be my free maneuver there, and then I'm going to pull the other dice, the other advantages for the boost die.
Excellent. Cool.
And that'll end my actions.
Excellent. All right, so it's their turn now, and wow, let's have these guys because you're like right behind them. So let's see. Gain the advantages and action.
It is.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, man.
Pretty good.
So,
Music going on in the background. Oh shit! Where'd my go?
so I think that what they're going to do is they are going to, they're going to try and split up, right, and fly around, and try to, try to flank you, force you to choose one, and one of the ships lines up and is going to aim at you and try to shoot you.
Oh no! Don't break anything.
Bastards.
So it's 2 difficulty. It's got 1 boost die for the aiming action. It's got 2 for your angled shields, two setback dice, correct? And yep, that's it. And their skill is a total of 2 greens and a yellow. Okay, he's rolling a pool of 2 greens and a yellow against and a blue. 2 greens, a yellow, and a blue against 2 purples and 2 black. Do you want to upgrade his check by spending a destiny point, or?
Yeah,
or no?
I'm gonna upgrade it.
All right, so
Run, Forrest, run.
1 purple.
No, it's that spiral maneuver. They've never seen anything like it before. It's throwing them off. I'm actually diving down between them, so.
Yeah, and it's really hard. You've got the advantage on the other guys, so this one is trying to roll. So here we go.
Who is this guy? Wow.
Oh, excellent. Good job. So, what can he do at this point?
You can't do much.
He cannot do much. So they try and shoot you, and even though they aim, you're just a better pilot than they are. So, you do manage to avoid his shots. And with that, they're just going to give that extra boost to the poor only guy, that's left all by himself. They're saying, circle around, catch him. So we go back to, they're back to back. Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that guy is taking evasive action, right? So as he's evading, he's going to try and get the advantage on you. Let's just double check. Evasive action lasts until the end of the pilot's next turn. So he's going to want to gain the advantage as well. And,
now, is that two different actions or no? Or is evasive action a maneuver? Oh, it's a maneuver. Okay.
It's a maneuver. Yeah, no, but gaining the advantage is actually another maneuver. So
yeah,
I don't know if he wants to do that.
No,
I thought gaining the advantage was an action.
Gain the advantage is an action.
But evasive action is not. No, but my point is, Ivan is not even dodging at this point, so he doesn't really have that difficulty.
No, he doesn't. Not yet.
Yeah, okay, so he has a 2 purple difficulty. Hang on 1 second.
That's usually my alarm. Very nice and it's like a lullaby. It's like praying. Like if these guys shoot at me once, I'm dead. That's just much how this ship works.
Yep, that's how it works. Okay, so it's 2 purple to hit you. This guy has a boost die because the other guys, maybe they're distracting you with all their, the other 2 ships fly in front of you as they're trying to catch Brian's ship.
Right.
And they have 2 purples and a yellow. And you have no shields. So do you want to upgrade their check?
What are they shooting at me with right now? Like what's their gunnery skill?
1 yellow. No, wait. He is alone because his friend got killed. He's shooting at you with 3 greens,
Okay.
But I'm going to flip one of those. Oops.
Right. Of course you
One
are.
of these. And I'm going to make it 1 yellow and 2 green by flipping that destiny point. So do you want to upgrade his difficulty?
Yeah, because I think I got nothing. I mean, I'm just 2 purple difficulty, aren't I?
Yeah. All right.
That would suck. So I want to upgrade by I guess it's gonna be a purple and a red for him.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, cool.
So here we go. Uh-oh. Not good for Ivan.
What?
This does a total of
Where's
8 points of damage.
Well, that's funny.
That's funny because you have an armor of 2, but
Armor?
you have
No, wait a minute.
Yeah, you have
No,
an
I don't
armor
think
of
so.
2. You're
For
in a
a
TIE
TIE
fighter.
Okay, I do have that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's
I lost that page. Here we are. I didn't make a little card. But go ahead.
that acts like soak. So those 2 points of armor deduct 2 points from the damage. But the bad news is that your hull threshold is 6.
It's 6.
So a total of 8 takes out the TIE fighter. So that's a little bit sad.
And wait, but can I? Yeah. So
okay, so keep in mind that exactly.
See, it's one of those ones where the middle gets blown up, and the wing, the solar panels come off.
Just come off. Yeah. Oof. I did read the rules regarding this because this type of combat has a reputation for being extremely deadly, and the rules specifically point out that if the ship has a player on it, you can consider it to be disabled, not necessarily destroyed, right? So you could be like Darth Vader spinning around on the broken cockpit, but you do not explode, right? Because you're a player character. So theoretically,
okay, let's rewind that camera where you blow off a solar panel and now he's spinning out of control. But there's nothing there's nothing to hit. He misses the asteroid, so he's just floating around in space with one solar panel, his engine's disabled. When it's got how much hours of air? Not much, but just waiting, thinking maybe I'll be rescued. I'm a pirate, though. Who the hell's going to rescue me?
Exactly. So theoretically, you can still be rescued. But that is still bad news because there's still 3 advantage there. So
your role disappeared on my screen in the Owen Meads area.
Oh yeah, you gotta refresh the Owen Mead every once in a while because it kind of goes insane.
Wonky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. 3 advantages. So, and next up, let me remove this initiative from here. So it's going to be Brian is next up. So, I think Brian is going to be a little bit distracted by the fact that Ivan's TIE fighter just got blown out of the sky. So he's going to have a setback die to his next action. Conversely, the rebel ships are now, glad to see that there's a 3 versus 1 situation. So they will get a blue boost die with that final advantage to their next action. So they're rallying and trying to form a single group again.
To reform, they're reforming up. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna try and do that. So it's Brian's turn.
Okay, so let's
So how long does gain the advantage last? I think it lasts until it's canceled, right? So you still have it.
I think it's till the guy cancels it on you. Isn't that the idea?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's permanent until it gets canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, until it's canceled out by use gain the advantage as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to gain the advantage to cancel it. All right. So
correct.
As I begin to see my compatriot's TIE fighter spiral off away from the asteroid field, I'm hoping that he's still alive because good crew's hard to find these days out here in deep space.
Thanks, man.
And I'm going to accelerate one more time.
Uh-huh.
So I'm increasing my speed, accelerate 1.
Uh-huh.
And then I am going to, as I'm coming out of that spiral, I will flip the ship so that aft is facing, or 4 is facing up.
Nice.
And I will unload again with the proton torpedoes.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So again, that is, let me get over here. Oh, 3 screens. 1, and 3.
And
I still have my boost die that I gave myself from the first round. I have my setback die in there, and the difficulty is 2.
Yes, 2 purples, but the guy just gave you a black setback die.
Yeah,
and,
I got the setback.
And you got a second setback dice because they have shields on the ship.
And the
So
2
it
setback.
should be 2 setback.
I'm going to go ahead and flip my destiny and upgrade that last ability die. So I'm rolling 4 yellow. All right, so 4 yellow, 1 boost against 2 and 2.
Okay, but this is the interesting part. Let's look at those proton torpedoes, because I do believe that they have guided, and guided has an interesting function where you can re-roll to reacquire the target, right? So maybe the ships are too close, right? So because they're so close, the missiles overshoot, right? They don't have time to acquire, but
and I do have the advantage to activate.
Exactly. That's the whole point, that you have to activate. Guided requires, it's on page 169. It requires 3 advantages, so you have exactly to activate. And let's see how that goes. If the character misses, he may make an attack check at the end of the round. Oh, so those missiles are flying around. They'll come back. So remember that.
Okay.
And then we'll do the attack check at the end of the
after they try and blow me out of the space.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the missiles are still there. The missiles are fire and forget, right? So
hey.
Wow. Okay. So those guys. And that was your attack. Did you take a maneuver as well? Oh, you accelerated. That's correct.
Maneuver was to accelerate
that
one more.
That is correct. Yeah. All right. So,
you hear across the radio, what kind of shot was that?
They're coming back around.
So you have the advantage, but you're not taking evasive action yet. So,
the Lueska does never take a base yet. I am not afraid to die in battle.
So they are going to shoot at you. That's going to be their action. They're going to shoot first.
Okay.
So these guys are still in a group. So they have 1 yellow and 2 greens. The attack difficulty is 2 purples, and you have shields. So they have 2 black die. Now, they did receive a boost die from the destruction of Ivan's ship. So they're rolling 2 greens, 1 yellow, 1 blue, 2 purples, and 2 black. Do you want to upgrade their difficulty?
First, I'm going to try and leverage. Narratively, I'm going to leverage the fact that I have completely increased my speed against them by 2. So I would like to leverage that as a setback die.
That's interesting.
Because I am moving considerably faster than they are. Because they're still at speed 3 and I've bumped all the way to speed 5.
That's true. And you are outmaneuvering them. So, okay, so that's not exactly by the book, but yeah, we could narrate that. But in that case, I'm going to spend 1 of my black die and upgrade my combat check. So I'm now rolling 2 yellows and 1 green.
And then I will go ahead and spend to reiterate that, I'll go ahead and up the difficulty.
All right. So
let's just keep it interesting.
Yes, sir. All right. So here we go. Excellent. There we go. So even though they had good position and they had all of that jazz, the fact that you're moving faster is actually probably what saved your bacon right there. Or maybe you took the hit on the shield. And that is enough to give you 1 threat against me. So what do you want to leverage that as?
Their formation is because of the maneuvering that we're involved in right now, we'll leverage that. Their formation is too tight for them to kind of actively come at me. So we'll leverage it as a setback die on their next attack run.
Okay, cool. So, funny enough, the other X-Wing is trying to maneuver up behind you. So, I forgot to take a maneuver because I do have a maneuver for the minion group. So the minion group is going to initiate evasive action. So it's going to be harder for you to hit them. Let me note it here. Evasive. And now it's the lone X-Wing coming up the back. He is going to attempt the stay on target maneuver, which will upgrade his combat check. So let me reset this guy. He has 3 of the greens, but since he's staying on target, it becomes 1 yellow and 2 green. He gets a setback die from what you just gave him, plus 2 from your shields. It's 3 setback die. And that is his maneuver. And then he's going to attempt to shoot. It's a difficulty of 2 purples. Do you want to upgrade his difficulty?
No, I'm going to hold on to that last one.
When I shot your friend, he squealed like a pig. Bark, bark, bark.
Do I want
like a robotic
to...
pig.
I got 2 destiny points. Why not? Let me flip one there to make things even deadlier for Brian. So, I'm actually initiating the action, so the way this goes is whoever initiates the action gets first dibs on upgrading. So now you get a chance to rebut. Do you wanna use that? Because I did that incorrectly. When whoever's the active player declares upgrades first, and then that gives the opportunity for the reactive player to decide.
Yeah.
So do you want to upgrade the difficulty?
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead, bump it.
Yeah, and we'll flip that point right back. And that's it. Let's see how that goes. Oh my God! Stay on target. I can't change it. Stay on target. Okay.
Well, he succeeded.
He succeeds.
Yeah.
So it's good and it's bad. So hang on a second. ¿Qué dices? Okay, gracias. Okay, the bad news for Brian is that an X-Wing's laser does 6 + 1 is 7.
Okay.
How much advantage does it take to activate linked?
I think it's 2, right?
I believe it is 2.
Yeah, let's just look at it. Okay, so that's really bad for you because the first hit does 7 points of damage. What's your armor?
2.
Okay, so that means that 5 points get through to your hull trauma.
Okay.
Okay, and then 5 more hits come in after that because I believe that by being linked, I think the armor applies again. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the armor applies again. So it's 2 of the quad lasers hit you. So that's a total of 10 to your hull.
And that is exactly my whole threshold.
Yeah, I figured. But they do have a despair, so
crash into one,
yes. So maybe
it's that explosion from behind as I'm like diving straight into his canopy.
So he crashes and he takes damage as well. But we could narrate that it's a minion, so by crashing he explodes. One of those. But unfortunately, this means that our heroes have been outgunned by the pesky rebels, and there's still 2 rebel minions who survived. So that is an interesting setup. Yeah.
I was really hoping to be able to like that get that first strike in.
Yeah.
You know, if we could have got a first, because Ivan got his first strike when he jumped out there.
Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to figure out the torpedoes. They come back in and attack those guys.
Let's see if he takes out the other minion group.
Let's
it's a gunnery, right?
Yeah.
It's a gunnery check, but now we compare the silhouette of the torpedo, which is 0, to the silhouette of the X-wing, which is 3. So the firing vessel has a silhouette 2 points larger than the target. No, smaller than the target ship. 2 or more points smaller. So that means that it's an easy. It's just 1 purple die to hit this guy. So roll 1 purple and 1 black die because of his shields.
Okay. So it's gunnery 2, agility 4. So that's 2 and 2.
Yep.
It's a success.
With a lot of advantage, which is really bad for him, because how much does the torpedo do? Is it 9 points?
It's 8 points with 9 with the uncanceled advantage, but I need to look up this real quick. So blast.
Oh, and does it have? I think it has breach.
Has blast. The proton torpedoes have a blast of 2. So the blast rating plus an additional wound per success as usual.
And it has breach, meaning it ignores armor.
Yep.
Correct? All right.
It has a breach of 6.
Okay, so it basically ignores the entire armor of the X-wing, and the
weapon has a large spread or explosive blast similar to an area of effect. The detonation is like a grenade or warhammer fired a missile. It affects each character, friend or foe engaged with the original target suffers damage equal to the weapon's blast rating.
Oh, wow.
So with a blast of 6 and breach, is it mutual self-destruction?
It's almost. They actually survive one. Oh, you know what you could do instead of activating blast? Activate linked, and then it takes 2 torpedoes.
Okay.
But if it takes 2 torpedoes, then one of the ships explodes. Do you have enough to activate both blast and linked?
Blast is 3, and with a linked 1
linked is 2. Linked is 2 though to activate. But you have enough. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So both both torpedoes hit and they explode. So they do. What is it? 18 points of damage to each ship, ignoring their armor completely. And yes, it is mutually assured destruction. The good news being that the player characters are in ships that are dead in space, but they're alive. The ship is disabled. So theoretically, you get the chance to, restore some power and at least radio back to the pirate base so they can come back and find you.
We got him. Good shot, Russell. Oh, thanks.
It was close.
That's great. Yeah, oh, man.
Yeah. So that's okay. Off the top of my head, let's do a little quick impressions here. I think as a dungeon master trying to run this. As a game master, not dungeon master, trying to run this, it's very important to use tokens. This, I'm using the camera here just to keep things straight in my head.
Yeah.
Because again, the range thing is important. Once you get into the furball per se, right? Once you're in close, because you need to be in close. These weapons only function in close. You still need to keep track of all the ship speeds, all the boost dice, and who's doing evasive action, how long does that last. I'm considering that probably the best way to do that is to use this exact same thing that we lost Brian again. Let's see if he comes back. Oh, Ivan, there we go.
I have my mic off. I think he keeps on trying to turn the wrong thing off and just a call.
All right.
Maybe not. I had to sneeze, so I took my mic off. But yeah, but go on, because I know what you're saying.
My observation as a GM would be to use this sheet, use either the tokens, if you have the beginner game box, use the tokens, or if you have the minis like I do, well, then use the minis. Use the dice to track the speed, and what I would do in future is take out my Star Wars dice and start putting, like, if somebody's doing evasive actions, well, then just put a purple die on top of that, right, to remind you that it's upgrading due to evasive actions. Maybe track stay on target is an upgrade of a green, so maybe put a yellow die or something on the ships to mark the bonuses and penalties. Maybe the blue dice and the black die that we hand off by using advantages and threats on rolls, maybe just mark those, like put the Star Wars die right next to the ship, and that way you can, because it is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to track.
Yeah, and something like that too. It's like it's cool because it's not really telling us what ships are; it's their relative range bands to each other. So it's
yeah,
which helps, because I remember like when we were doing that combat in our game with CGA. We were tracking like our relative distance from two different things, and it got confusing as hell. Having some kind of visual representation of like, okay, now like, can we interact? Can we not interact?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, as long as you have,
you guys are all on one ship in Five Sisters, right?
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, even with this combat here, we have 4 ships total, 2 minion groups and 2 players. So, I mean, it just ups the complexity of what you got to track.
Yeah.
But exactly. We were dealing with 2 different ships there, plus our relative distance from something. So we were all like flying towards the something, So it's something like this where you have like a visual aid to, because it's not, it doesn't even really mean the ships are pointed at each other. It's just kind of like they're firing on each other, but they're close, they're engaged, or they're.
Well, like Anthony was talking about in that video, he's like, it's just there as like a condition.
Exactly.
Your condition is close, your condition is short, which makes sense when you think about it that way.
Right.
Yeah, it's the analog of the combat with the engaged state, because engaged is not range, it's a condition. And this is the same, but this is the only, most of the small fighter weapons only work at close, right? So I think the missiles go up to short, but the...
Yeah, missiles are the longest ranged weapon that I've got on either of these 2 ships. Everything else is close between the 2 of them.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Yeah. So, okay. So you guys were, it's deadly combat. We've established that. It's still survivable because you can survive. The shields help, but they're not super helpful. I think if you were to recreate like Luke in the movies, I think that requires adding on the additional rules, right? You can have the astromech droid. There are rules in the pilot book for that. There are rules to play it like an NPC droid, or you could just abstract the astromech droid by giving boost die to the pilot and letting the pilot use like triumphs and stuff to count as if the astromech droid were doing repairs on the ship and whatnot. So that extends the longevity of your ship a bit. And the second thing that I think would explain like a prolonged battle like Luke has is the squad rules, the squadron rules that come in the Game Master screen, where you could have, like Ivan could have had like 2 additional TIE Fighter minions, right? And you move as a group, and whenever you get hit, you, the player, can direct the hit to one of your minions, right? And they blow off. That's just what happens, They
you just, I just seriously got screwed, dude. What the hell?
But but I mean, that's an extra layer of complexity. So I figured we'd try it as easy as possible,
as simple as possible.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, because it's very similar to like when you're doing like ground combat for ground troops. If you're a commander, then you can have your squad with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's the same concept there. You use them as men.
Exactly like
exactly.
that.
Oh,
like that.
son of a...
Exactly.
Okay, now I understand. Yeah. Okay, good, cool.
So
And that makes sense in the fiction too, that because you're so much more of a skilled pilot, that the people who are getting killed off are the ones behind you in your
Right.
way, as you're flying shots.
Yeah, and that's plenty of precedent in the movies. Like Ivan just showed the image with Darth Vader. That's exactly what happens. And even Luke, you could say that Biggs gets blown off, and then Wedge gets almost blown off, and then it's just Luke, right? So that's this little squad there.
Yeah, I'm taking Biggs and Porkins. Come on, guys, let's cover me. They're dying.
That too. Maybe Porkins was the player character there, right? And because he's the one who survives till the end. Yeah, I had originally thought, so I wasn't sure if Ivan was going to show up, so I was going to go like, let's do like maybe the Battle of Scarif. Did you see Rogue One? Did you guys watch the movie Rogue One?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I figured, I could put them in like X-Wings or something and then have them dogfighting with the minion TIE fighter groups, but at the same time trying to approach the gate to fire torpedoes at the gate, right? But that's the more complex thing, where you add terrain and you add movement, right? Where you would have to maybe move to the gate to fire on it, just to make it a little bit different, the combat.
So just out of curiosity, is it the initiative section that shows how you get the additional free maneuver from advantages?
I don't know. I'm okay. I have the screen for Edge of the Empire, but my Age of Rebellion screen hasn't arrived. It should be here during the weekend. Let me just check Edge of the Empire, because it has a page
because that's just initiative. Gaining an additional incidental as a maneuver should just be a general rule, so it should be in all three books.
Yeah, no, it's got to be in all three books, because the Edge of the Empire is the older book, but it's in the combat chapter, I think.
Yeah. Just going back to the question that Ivan had earlier, when
it's in the table. In combat. Let me find the table on Age of Rebellion here.
So what check were they making? They were making a... Do you remember what check that was? Was it a piloting check?
Yeah, okay. I can't remember what check it was, but it's on page 219 of Age of Rebellion. And it has the table 6-3, spending threat and despair in combat. And under 2 threat, it says an opponent may immediately perform 1 free maneuver in response to the active character's check. What I can't remember if the 3 maneuver thing is absolute. It's probably absolute. And if it is absolute, then I guess that guy loses. You have to do something different then. So maybe then you just take the boost die or something, right? Because the 2 maneuver, I think, is like a hard limit.
Yeah, I think that's a hard limit.
Yeah, because but
during the action itself,
I don't think it didn't even come up in the actual thing, because Ivan died before he could do anything with that, but it sounds good. The crew inside a ship is interesting as well. You could do a lot more, because then the action economy is really, you can do evasive action, and then you can play, because evasive action lasts until the pilot's next turn. So you could have the gunners fire, and then in the next round the gunners fire first, and then at the end the pilot turn comes in. So you can make it last longer. So there are little tricks that you can play with the initiative order, which are worth thinking about.
Well, yeah, especially when you talk about somebody could try and spoof the missiles that have guided.
That too.
That's additional crew activity. So on page 213, okay, it says maneuvers outside a character's turn. In some cases, the character may even be able to perform a maneuver when it's not their turn. Any bonus maneuvers gained outside of a character's turn do not count towards the aforementioned limit of 2 maneuvers a character may perform during his turn.
Oh, beautiful. So we did it
So
right.
the hard limit is only on during your turn. The only way you can get additional maneuvers is when in that situation. And kind of been similar when, like if you roll initiative and you want to count the 2 advantages, that could be an outside of turn maneuver.
And that makes it so much easier because otherwise you'd have to remember how many maneuvers you took on your turn, and it could get really tricky trying to track that all in your head.
And it does say, the GM would be wise to limit the outside turn maneuvers to 1 or 2 at maximum. One would probably be sufficient.
Yeah, because it could get ridiculous too.
Yeah, that could get ridiculous.
Yeah.
You start rolling. I mean, we had several rolls that had multiple advantages in it. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it was a good call. The guy is getting shot, so he goes into an evasive maneuver. It's immediate maneuver. Yeah, hell, I got to evade this guy. He's going to kill me too. So yeah.
So, do you feel a little bit more? I mean, I know your usage, Ivan, with the system so far. I mean, mine has been. We've had our sessions have been so close together because we've been getting to almost together almost every Saturday. But do you feel? Did you glean a little bit more from just kind of going through this little bit of an exercise? Yeah,
this helps because generally we're generally running like hell. Because our ship just has crap for weapons. Like seriously, we have like these, we haven't had some serious fights with anything. So that definitely helps. I mean, it is at first kind of weird to wrap your head around because most of the time it's tough to think of an action because most of the really interesting things are maneuvers, and then it's right at the end of the day it's pretty much when you're really engaging a. Like we haven't done a lot of dogfights. I mean, once again, the ship that we've been hulking around in is not something you're going to gain the advantage on. The TIE fighters come in, we're looking for like how do we get the hell out of here?
Well,
or
you guys have extra crew though, right? So I mean, you might took a look instead of thinking about it like, okay, we've got to fight.
Yeah.
Look at that additional crew members' actions chart.
Oh no, Aloy's definitely shot at things and see. Situation where we had something happen. I think can't remember if either Jim couldn't make it that day, so we said he was sick bay, or he was hurt in sick bay, so he couldn't. I think one time he was actually trying to fix the ship so it would actually we could get into hyperspace. So we've been doing that.
We had a good combat with lots of mechanics checks, and we did. Antoine is here.
Speaking of, there you go.
We did mechanics checks. We did. We've done the leadership check of the fire discipline. We've done. Let's see what else. I think that's mostly what we've done. We've scanned the enemy. I think we've scanned before combat. I think. Oh, hey Antoine.
What's up?
Good of you to join.
Hi. Hi. I'm just checking in. I'll mute so you can keep going here.
No, we got our asses kicked, but we got our asses kicked. But the automatic missiles, we rolled enough of advantages afterwards. The guided missiles actually came back and blew up the guys afterwards. Everybody died. But no, we're not dying. We're just actually, because we were player characters, we were in disabled ships, so we were just sitting there waiting for rescue.
Yeah. Like pirates are going to come out and rescue the extra guys who couldn't duke it out.
Right. Yeah, that is the one thing I was going to say though. Like my biggest impression from this was like just how fragile these ships are, no matter what. Oh, yeah. And the only thing you have going for you is plot armor.
Yeah.
As a player character, I mean, which is fine.
Just exactly like what you said. I mean, the TIE fighter compared to the Fang Starfighter, I mean, they're so heavily weighted on opposite ends of the scale, and even with having the threshold that I did, having the armor, having the shields, I mean, it took 3 of them.
One hit,
but with one hit, it linked. That was the killer, was having it linked.
Yeah.
Well, my strategy was literally like if they had that round was to was to use that, what the heck is the actual talent? The full throttle. I think it improved full throttle to use as maneuver, just so I could gain the advantage and keep the advantage, because my speed would be so much greater than theirs and my difficulty would be low. And at that point, then it would be difficult for them to gain it back, and then I could just shoot at them until they died. That was my biggest thing. Is like the whole shtick of the TIE fighter, as far as I could see, was it goes really, really fast, and it can go really fast, really fast. And if you have a pilot that can punch it and do that, then it goes really fast, really fast. And then if you hold the advantage, then you're good. Once this guy gets a clear shot at you, you're dead. And he did, and I died.
Yeah. That's my read, is that the Interceptor has speed 6, so that it can lose a point of speed while still being speed 5.
Yeah.
Essentially, like it has 1 to burn.
Yeah, I think
that was right.
Go ahead.
I was just doing a regular tie, so it was 5. But still, like I mean, if I would have 2 rounds with improved full throttle, just be rolling around at speed 6, and it'd be really tough to not getting the advantage that way. Yeah.
I think the big trick with the advantage and gain the advantage and stuff is that you do evasive actions. So you're protecting your ship, and then you do gain the advantage, because gain the advantage negates your own evasive action and their evasive action.
Yeah.
So, but you have to do both things. You have to evade and gain the advantage.
So you guys did one-man fighters?
Yeah,
we did.
In particular, okay.
Yeah, I did.
We did the Falcon.
Yeah, I did 2 minion groups of 2 X-wings each versus a TIE fighter. I'm sorry, and a Mandalorian. What's it now?
Fang Starfighter. Mandalorian Fang Starfighter.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. Yeah. So,
I keep in mind that to be a Mangalore. They won't fight without a leader.
To kind of, in theoretical, one of the things I didn't do was I didn't use any of my talents, even though I built the character, because I wanted to kind of look at it, what could have been done in hindsight. So it's another one of those things that as a player you need to keep track of, like when your talents could really be applicable. So for example, I have dead to rights. So when I came out and I actually landed that first shot on those guys, I could have flipped my destiny and then added half of my agility to each one successful hit. So
nice.
Plus damage talent.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Dead to rights is a good damage talent. I mean, so it's kind of ways on both sides. The player not only has to be really aware of the actions and maneuvers they can do, but they have to keep, if you're piloting or you're gunning, you really need to know what you get to do in that special situation from your talents too. So
I played Star Wars, like I've read it for years, but I've only played it like 4 or 5 times, like sessions scattered throughout the years, right? And I hate that because I forget the rules from if too much time passes, I forget. So this is the first time we've been playing for a while. So the last time I played before meeting you guys, I played with Jose. And Jose wasn't impressed with the system because I think we didn't do a good job of showcasing it. So Jose was like, it's kind of like WEG D6. I could do the same things. It's like, yeah, kind of, but no. But Jose made the observation, it's too dangerous. It's just, the stormtroopers are just, combat is just as deadly as WEG. It's kind of like too deadly for Star Wars. So about a year ago, when I started talking to Anthony, I messaged him and I said, like, Anthony, a friend of mine made this observation saying it's too deadly, right? What is your impression of the combat? And he says the face-to-face combat, the combat with the guns, that the players will be fine. Worst case scenario, one drops unconscious and you carry him out, but nobody's dying. And he said,
you guys hosed the Jabba crew. You hosed those guys.
Yeah, we did.
And if you have all your players in a ship, like in a YT 1300, they'll be fine. The worst case scenario, the ship goes down, but still they'll be fine. If they're in the snub fighters, it's where it gets like really deadly, like boom boom, one hit you're dead basically.
Yeah.
But
and especially just running a ship.
That's exactly what I just said. I said this is the equalizer, and this is the squadron rules and the astromech rules, which I haven't read yet. I've skimmed over them, so I have an idea what they do. I want to read them again, but because they're in the little summary sheet.
I survived that Heard.
Yeah.
So
That was that's the one thing I noticed too, though. Like going back to what I was talking, because what else could be possibly be more interesting is what I was talking about. But I just remembered the other thing I was thinking of with the TIE fighter is what the other part of my plan, so to speak, is now that I realize what their handling does. Like once you try to gain the advantage with that +3 handling, it's almost impossible not to gain it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of surviving that first round.
Yeah, you got to
Which I did not.
accelerate to a good speed,
Yeah.
hit evasive action, and then gain the advantage, and you got it.
Yeah, but then so I if you're facing a group or people that they're being cast as adversaries rather than minions, if you decide, okay, you're up against some ace pilots, you're screwed. And you've really, as a player character, you might not die
because they can take strain. Is that what you mean?
Well, they can take strain, and they have better rules than your minion group. You're able to do some damage to those, and actually, Brian was able to take out 2 in one blow doing the brave little Taylor thing. I mean, I didn't score enough damage to hit both minions, but I could have. Well, actually, no, the guns on this thing aren't that great, but
but they're linked. They're linked. You could have done.
They're linked. Yeah, I
They're linked to the advantage. And we started out kind of like in one of Anthony's follow-up videos when I think it's the how do you set up the combat thing.
Right.
So when we started out, we were already on level footing, both at speed 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have a bevy of maneuvers that are already open. So the only way for you to be able to kind of take thinking tactically to get to some of the better maneuvers is to keep using a maneuver to accelerate. I want to accelerate. I want to accelerate. Right. Because if you want to get to some of those more evasive actions, you need to be going faster. So sometimes it's an opportunity cost. Do I stay where I'm at and, not go any faster, or do I try and evade and move away from them now? Like when you were asking about punching it.
Yeah. I was like, well, take the strain, because honest to God, the ship takes one real good hit. It's going to die anyway, so might as well just punch it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Strain, in general terms, strain is there to be used.
Yeah. Right. That's why I wasn't afraid, like right out of the gate. Oh, I'll take 2 strain. Go right ahead. I'll take 2 strain.
Mm-hmm.
I want to note that having read the rules again, one thing that pops out is that one of the main things that what kept throwing us off in our combats in Antoine's game was the range thing. Yeah.
Right.
Once you realize that the weapons only really work at close range, you can still move, right? But that range interaction only works. Don't go too crazy with the range, because there's 2 things here. If you're in space combat, once the range gets too close, you can forget about moving, right? If you're focused on just dogfighting, you don't need to worry about range. Range is when you're trying to get somewhere. You can't outrun the TIE fighter in the Buick, right? So we wait for it to get hit. We have to kill them.
Right.
There is one interesting thing we did, which was maybe a little advanced, and that's what threw us off, which is we tried to integrate the chase with the combat. And in the chase, then the ranges come back in, but they are considered like planetary ranges. So for the purposes of the chase, but it's still close. You can still shoot. So it's a little. Mm-hmm. It got a little complex. Maybe that was maybe throwing us off a little bit.
But that's okay. I mean, the whole thing is, you're never going to find out what the breaking point is for what you're processing until you throw something in there like that. But
we haven't done capital ships yet.
Oh, yeah.
But this is where we gotta build it up, right? I was just telling the guys, we just did a little combat with no terrain, and that's it. We could have used terrain. We could have used squadrons. You start layering on layers of complexity, but at least I think we got a good look at the basics, right?
And this shouldn't be the only exercise.
Oh no, we should keep doing this.
We should kind of try and do this for various different things. Like, if just have characters. and somebody can say, well, okay, let's do ground-based squad combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm curious about.
Let's just have a theory exercise where we just take random characters. This is the scenario that's going to happen. That's all we're going to exercise. It's just purely for practice. You know, we can make mistakes. We can bend the rules. Ask each other, like, how would you make the call on this? So here's a good one for you. Mm-hmm. So, Antoine, during combat with the X-Wings, I kept accelerating. So I managed to get my speed. They were still traveling at speed 3, and I managed to get my speed up to 5. Mm-hmm. I made the suggestion of narratively leveraging the difference in speed as a setback die. Does that sound conceivable to you? As one GM in this group, you know, I mean, would you allocate that as being a viable setback?
No.
It's not raw.
That's fine.
It's
not wrong. It's not wrong, but I wouldn't do it.
No,
That's
it's not raw.
like,
It's not rules as written, right? It's
not in the book, but it is in the book in the sense of you can give setback and advantage dice for whatever the heck you want.
That's true.
So, you know, if like I would say maybe for gunnery, or which checks do you want to put a setback die on?
Their next
gunnery,
yeah, so it would have been versus their gunnery.
I think you got to earn advantages somehow to do that, basically. Okay. So if you have terrain and you're in that situation where you make a hazard roll, if you find terrain to make a hazard roll with your fly maneuver, and then you get some advantages on that fly maneuver, I think that's where the raw RAW that would come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was listening to Order 66 the other day, and they have several episodes on this, and they gave they always give like some little pieces of advice, right? And they always say, you know, start the combat at medium. You know, that's a good range to start at, as opposed to starting it at long, because it's going to be a while.
Well, you can't see each other even.
Those dots look threatening. What is that? Is that a star?
Yeah.
That's something on the windshield.
That's no moon.
Yeah. Anthony made the point that you can do active sensors, and that extends your sensor band one range, which is medium. So, you know, probably start at medium.
But you have to be wanting, like you. That's the active seeker that finds you at medium.
Correct.
So if you're trying to evade notice, you're not active. Don't have active sensors on at all.
Yeah.
True.
But if you were like, say, a patrol craft out on patrol, extended patrol, you would probably be actively extending your sensor range.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's one pointer they gave. They recommended use minions. What else did they have? Those are the two big ones that I remember. Then they start going into house rules and stuff like that, which is, you know, interesting, but it's not raw. So
well, what did they feel compelled to add in?
They basically I was telling Brian the other day, there's a rule in Genesis, which is the barrel roll, snap roll, some sort of roll. It's a talent, tier 3 talent in Genesis, which basically, let me see, I have it here somewhere. That talent was written up by one of the guys in the Order 66. Phil Majewski is his last name. I can't pronounce his last name. But GM Phil on the Order 66. He wrote it, and he is thanked in the rules. They talk all the time. But it's for ship silhouette 1 through 4, speed 2, and it allows you to use the maneuverability of the ship and your own skill to avoid incoming fire. So when you are hit by a gunnery combat check, the pilot can take the snap roll incidental action and reduce the damage of the attack by the sum of the ship's handling plus the pilot's rank in piloting. So it's very
Wow.
complex.
It's a mouthful.
But it trades.
So there's no roll. You just take it. You just when you're hit, you do the incidental.
You just do that and take 3 system strain. And
Could you?
yeah.
Okay, so you're taking strain.
It's-
Could you read requirements again of the ship?
It only for snub fighters, silhouette 1 through 4 and speed.
Okay.
But what he said is that the inspiration is basically the parry action for lightsaber combat, which I'm not versed on lightsaber combat at all. I haven't even looked at it. So I don't know what it entails. But apparently in Force and Destiny there is a parry action where you parry the lightsaber, right? So he said, well, it's the same thing, but in a starship. So I guess he adapted it somehow. I'm just saying this is this is a rule.
Does anybody ever do that? That's my question. Like no, they parry and like there's the classic, and then there's the crackling lightsaber sound, and they're like, and then they make a face at each other.
Yeah.
But
in the movies,
no, but I mean in the ships, I don't know that that's actually a thing.
Yeah, where they go like this and evade the fire. Yeah.
And if they do, it's versus a missile.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
One of the interesting things that I did find about some of these maneuvers that they don't really include is that they focus so much on silhouette, but some of these maneuvers, or maybe some more advanced maneuvers, it seems like they would only be performed or executable by a ship with a positive handling.
I have a reaction to that.
I'm not talking about
most maneuvers are just like if you mean maneuvers are specifically just up to silhouette 4. The capital ships just kind of lope along.
Yeah.
And most of the 0 through 4 silhouette vehicles happen to have positive handling.
But even if they don't, that's not a problem because like 1v for N
He has 2 ranks of skilled jockey.
Exactly. So he negates the negative handling dice from this ship, right? And you can upgrade those freighters, right? Because they always assume that any ship that's the equivalent of the Millennium Falcon can do all that dogfighting stuff, basically. So it's doable,
Yeah.
And
It just seemed
co-pilot is a thing too.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe the next time we get together, we could do a 2-man ship combat.
Yeah, I'd like to try that. This is
if
very
I
tangential.
contend,
Go ahead, please.
No,
go,
no.
please. Oh, please, Jay. No, please.
Well,
I defer.
the thing that is on it. Well, I just maybe a fictional lens for these. I don't know. I'm just thinking of the.
Go ahead.
We just said 2-man ship, and I thought of that 3-man Clone Wars ship. That it's like the double X wing.
Yeah.
It's it's the gang sign wing.
Yeah.
And there's 3 clones in it. And if you're just playing the game to practice combat, who better than clones?
There's only one
than 3
three-man-
Jango Fett's.
There's only one 3-man ship in like 1965, not from Star Wars.
Oh,
is a
the
silent
silent
raider.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. But the other tangential thing that I was thinking of, and the fictional part that you said, or fictional, whatever word you used, it was really good, but I'm tired. Was I'm thinking if ship-to-ship combat, is this deadly in the space opera version of this game? I can imagine that, like in something like Beanstalk, you do not want to get into any kind of fights with ships in space.
No, I'm guessing not. But again, it's like Anthony says: if you're in the Silhouette 4 freighter, you should be able to, because it's got more hull points, right? You can at least take 2 shots, maybe 3.
Right. But from a fictional point, from a fictional level, like when you're sitting there in a disabled ship waiting for rescue.
Yeah.
It's hard sci-fi. Who's going to rescue you?
Yeah.
Nobody. It's just prolonging your eventual death.
Yeah.
That's what happens in the Expanse. Is there's just like, crap, we're screwed.
Yeah.
So when does the air run out? Oh, about 5 hours. Man, I wish that missile killed us. Yeah, that'd been better.
Yeah, there's that. Definitely. There's Brian back.
Yeah, but even in that fictional kind of situation, like Okay, so yeah, you've only got 5 hours of oxygen. So what are you going to do? You're going to make emergency repairs or do what they did in The Expanse and wire every last micro battery you've got together to send out a signal. Hey, we need help.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I get it.
it's the MacGyver.
And in the
Yeah,
Star
you gotta
Wars,
MacGyver your way out of it.
in the chapter rules, that is specifically called out. A ship with less than 0 threshold, right? Like exceeded the threshold. You can still, it says if the pilot is desperate enough or foolish enough, they can repair the ship, and it gives you some penalties to the ship, but you can still act. So you could save yourself, right? Presumably after the battle, right? So after everybody's gone. But
Climb out on your ship while they're flying around.
But this is all contemplated, right? So they understand that their combat is deadly and that you're going to want to have to survive. I appreciated the whole, if there's a PC pilot in the Starfighter, it does not explode. You know, if it's a minion exploded, if it's a enemy rival or a nemesis, yeah, it just exploded. Who cares? But if it's the characters, give them a chance to do something. You know, keep the story. It's the fail forward approach, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. Yeah.
That's resilience is a skill that I have not made y'all roll enough yet.
Thanks, man.
Thanks. Now he's got ideas. Yeah.
What's that skill? You always have me roll the discipline skill, and V like fails every time. Die. It freaks out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if the other games speak as loudly, but it seems like kind of like horrors of war, or kind of the psychological component of war is Age of Rebellion talks that one up maybe slightly more than the other ones. I don't know. I don't know.
It's interesting.
Well, I mean, you can't. There is. I mean, just in Shadow of the Beanstalk, it does kind of gloss into that area a bit with the resilience skill. Because of some of the horrors that can be, you know, I mean, it's man versus man. So that's these atrocities that you see of people venting on each other, you know, is kind of a bit of a thing in the Undercity,
Right.
you know. So if you're some Risty who can't really take the visceral, you know, clone on clone combat of the, you know, pit in the Undercity, you might
That's
be a little bit.
Life is cheap in Cyberpunk. And so, like, a discipline roll's just, I don't know, it doesn't feel... Like, droids are always getting scared.
50 credit on the bald one.
You know, Rogue One suggests to us, like, you know, if you're going to do the war side of it, like, some people are going to have a hard time with the war. Or, like, Cassian, starts to, like, really second-guess, like, murdering people.
Yeah.
So by the end of the movie, it's like, I don't want to kill today.
Yeah. Well, and former World's War vets are a thing in Shadow of the Beanstalk as well. So they come back. You know, you could be playing a character whose flaw is a PSDT-like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
it's opt-in, like as opposed to like kind of.
Yeah, you can play Danar. It'll be great.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, it's definitely going to be opt-in. You wouldn't want it enforced for sure.
So what do we do? We're doing next. We're doing or like a multi, you know, Millennium Falcon and groups.
Sure, we could do that.
What'd you call it? Or we do a squads?
Maybe
or something.
I would contend perhaps one or the other might be a slightly more focused.
Like what?
Like squadron or multi-man ships. That's all.
Yeah, we can just bring one.
I mean, you know, or I guess, you know, the thing that I'm really curious about is on the GM side, running squadrons. Like, and whether you should just run like Nemesises and, you know, so on.
Well, the beauty of the thing is, as a GM, the squadron goes to the players, right? So the players run the squad. It's the player has to be on top of the squadron rules, and it's.
Oh no, I mean like an NPC, like you know, like So here I have this stormtrooper sergeant, and he's got like a squadron group
I would just go minion on that.
Minion group. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. That's where my first resort.
Yeah.
I might have a nemesis. I might give a nemesis a squadron of guys.
What I tried to do is, instead of doing one minion group of 4, because the more units in your minion group, it's exponentially deadly.
Oh, it gets so deadly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was bad enough with 2 X-Wings. I mean,
It was.
crap. Just getting shot by the one with the 2 linked weapons was bad enough. I mean,
Yeah.
See? Sorry.
you good.
Say again, what were you saying? Minion group?
You talked
Minion's
about,
bad.
The more minion groups you have, the more deadlier it gets.
It gets extremely, yeah. So that's why I decided instead of doing 1 minion group of 4 X-Wings, then it's just 2 minion groups of 2 X-Wings each, right? So that's just 1 upgrade to the combat.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really honestly expect to win going into any kind of scenario, but it is good to see, at this level of combat for starships, just how bad it can get real quick.
Yeah, what the other thing we could have done is, maybe run a minion group of TIE fighters, because TIE fighters are squishier than I put X-Wings, which are pretty sturdy, so they're probably meant to be more PC ships, because the game is Age of Rebellion. It's skewed toward the...
Well, defense dice. I mean, that's what happens, is like things with defense dice.
Yeah.
Which happens to be the PC things, mostly. But AT-AT walkers have got defense dice, and let me think of another good example.
But defense dice are interesting, too, because they can whiff. Right, you can get a 3 black die and whiff the complete. It's like the shields are okay. So,
which is, there are some capstone ability. There's I don't know if there's any in Age of Rebellion, but there's in Edge. There's you can flip a die to like an adjacent side. That's one of the capstone abilities. Is like you can look at the die and tilt it.
Oh, really?
Tilt the die once. Yeah. Post roll. I don't really, yeah.
Nice.
That's nuts.
Nice.
It feels. I mean, a lot of the capstone abilities have to do with like a reroll of the pool, or a reroll some.
Yeah, I can't remember what the ace pilot. There's pretty good capstone here.
Yeah, I made a pilot, and it took a couple of. I took 2 ranks of skilled jockey, because I've seen 1B4N use that, and then 1 rank of full throttle. But this is the basic ace pilot from the Age of Rebellion book. I didn't even look at the pilot book, which I just bought on hard copy. So I didn't even look at that. But I was talking to Anthony the other day. Like I said, what are the added rules that you would add to like have a more complete library, because every splat book has rules for something, right? And for Age of Rebellion, it seems to be the GM screen with the squadron rules, which seems to be pretty important, particularly for this. For this, if you want to do Luke Skywalker, Death Star running with the ships, you need the squadron rules. It's what's going to keep you alive. And
keep the GM's head from exploding.
Yeah. The other one is the pilot book has the astromech droid rules, which add some interesting options to combat. And there's a couple of ways of handling it. Like you can abstract the droid, and then that just adds boost die to you, and you can use triumphs and stuff to activate the droid to repair your ship and stuff. Or you can use the droid as a full NPC and put him on the initiative order. And, if it's 3 TIE fighters against Luke and R2, then you could take turns. That obviously would need a smaller group of players, because with a lot of players that could be difficult. But it also opens up doors, like one of the players goes off by his own, and you could have another of the players jump in and just play the astromech, right? So
I think R2 is a player character in most circumstances.
I would agree.
And the other one is the Commander book, Lead by Example. I believe it's the Commander Splat book, which has rules for mass combat. Because there were some preliminary mass combat rules in the Onslaught at Arda, which is the first adventure book that they published for Age. But then they polished the rules up in the Lead by Example. So I kind of bought those because I don't have a full set of Age of Rebellion books like Anthony, but I said, well, I better get like at least the because I'm loving this Age of Rebellion line. I mean, Edge and Age are my thing. I don't Force and Destiny. Could care less. I still have it. I have the core book, but I could care less.
Yeah, everybody needs a commander.
About 6 more sessions in for us. And then Force and Destiny is going to start moving to the front because we've got Mark, he's just about done completing his Force and Destiny character. And there's going to be I'm going to be running Mark as a solo for a little bit, and then the storylines are going to cross.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, it'll be because Mark has more free time available.
Sure.
And our schedules kind of mesh a little bit more. So we kind of wanted to get. And Randy's not too interested in playing a Force-sensitive character, and Mark is.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You can cross
rather than forcing out his other character with it playing with Randy, because they've already had one bad experience encountering, an NPC Force-sensitive character.
Oh well.
Go on. Yeah. Oh, because I that's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Or like
Unless one of you pushes that character out the frickin' door and into space. He's so sick of that Force-sensitive kid talking about this nonsense. Get off my ship.
The Murderous Apprentice card is really good.
Nice.
So I mean, if you just want to throw like a rival generic Force-sensitive out there, the Murderous Apprentice is a really good one to use.
So like, is it just like the Force power? Like why? Like how? Like what makes it play differently than other adversaries?
You just have to look at the rules on the cards because it plays with the stripped down rules, not using Force and Destiny.
Yeah,
right.
So he does have the ability to generate Force points or Force dice, but then he also has the ability to like use dedication. So you could dedicate 2 dice to brawn or dedicate 2 dice to agility.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and so your actual ability, so your pool for a
boom.
Yeah.
Boosts up your pool. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's essentially what happened is they saw him, and immediately when initiative got encountered, I rolled to generate Force points, and he generated 3 Dark Force points, and I said, okay, 2 are going to go to his agility. And he laid in right away with the lightsaber and just started brutalizing both of them. I mean, it was like this Starship combat. 2 guys on 1, but they did not come out of it unscathed. I mean, Randy came out of it with a really good critical strike, and they learned real quick that Jedi are not something you just don't want to mess with them.
Yeah, we almost got killed by a frog.
It was a rather large frog in our defense.
Giant frogs. Giant frog. We almost got killed by a frog. So Jedi, we're not going to mess with Jedi or Sith or anything else like that.
Yeah,
we have a hard time.
That is something.
Amphibians are killing us. He's giving us
creatures against vehicles is a challenging, like, it just kind of works, like you can just kind of cram it in there and it doesn't break anything, but it does feel kind of wobbly, like you're like, how do I do this?
It worked fantastic. We had such a good time with a frog. The frog was one of the best. Was the best, and then Ivan shoots it with the harpoon and rolls a despair, and it's like, yes! The players were... Antoine just looked at the despair, but Ivan and I were screaming, yes! We got a despair!
The frog is plummeting towards Earth, and we're being dragged.
That's one of those things where I just have to learn to, it's like, okay, like sometimes I will be given to narrate, and it's this really expensive debris CGI effect, and it's like you're burning up the whole budget for half the movie here with and, I just have to.
And speaking, in the last game we ran, that's what I wanted when we pulled out the minion rules for them to let them use. So we weren't necessarily using the squad rules, but they were just using the minions for the core troops that were defending the landing construction site. And then the creature that was attacking him, the Rahunan Basilisk, as we were calling it, was a Silhouette 4 creature. So, I mean, it was like, it came in and started devouring minions. I mean, each strike, it was just like gobbling up 2 of these guys at a time.
Well, players controlling minion groups is definitely a thing in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like if you think Clone Wars is part of Star Wars, I mean the show, not the movie. Not Attack of the Clones. That's garbage. It's not garbage.
Yeah, but the show is pretty good.
The show's good enough to count. Let me put it that. Like it's as good as Return of the Jedi. You know.
Yeah.
So, but that's a thing. Is players controlling minion groups is something. I don't know. It's something to work on for me. Like I just need to figure out how to transmit the information.
Well, it'd be good
fast
practice. It would be
and
good
present it
practice.
well. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was about ready to ask Ivan. Is because you've talked about this a bit, that you feel a little bit behind on the system. What would be some things that you would like to have done or partake in as like a practice exercise like this? What's something that you would kind of like to try and check out as far as the system goes?
I was just thinking about it right before you started talking. Seriously, like the some of the like the more the minion type things, or using the squad rules, using like the really small versus really large ship, like just some things like things that are going to show up, but like giving it a try like before it actually shows up in for real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know how to do a frog, but there's other things that
like drop out of hyperspace and try and blow up a Star Destroyer like before it can launch its 72 TIE fighters.
But especially I think probably using a better ship than we have, but using something like a YT.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go against a bunch of TIE fighters. Go a bunch of something that can give us a real trouble. Because it doesn't matter if we get just killed or.
Why don't we make a plan for not necessarily a date, but why don't we pick the next exercise to do?
Yeah.
So what would you guys like to do? For me, I'm up for any of this.
Me too.
Squad rule, or the 2-man ship, or the 3-man, 3-man ship coming out, or whichever.
I'm having fun doing these practice things with all you guys, so I'm up for anything. Yeah.
You want to do the squad based stuff, Ivan?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. That's
okay.
Cool.
Ground or space?
I think Ivan likes it when NPCs die. Like or not NPCs, but like extras.
NPCs. Yeah.
NPCs.
Hit the button for the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hey, listen, man, we can.
Who am I kidding? Yeah, it's true.
It's true. Yeah, that tends to happen in games I run and play, but yeah. Well,
So
I mean,
wanna
honestly,
ground fight or ship fight?
let's do a ground fight first with squad rules. That'd be kind of interesting.
That sounds excellent. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So why don't we? I'd like to add a little other layer of complexity in here for this. So if we get together,
call it spice.
Spice. Let's. Instead of it being like if you run it, okay, like you did today, we run it as PvP.
Oh.
So it's Ivan squads versus my squads, or whoever the 3-man is. So like Eloy would set the terrain, he'd set the scene, and then if you want to pick sides, it doesn't matter to me. If you want to play Empire, Rebel, or whatever, we could just one of us plays one of the sides, and then we pick some squad minions. One like say sergeant, maybe a rival, and then have just infantry troops, and then we just go at it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
But is this just using the regular squadron rules or the mass combat thing? It sounds like the squadron.
Let's keep it smaller than mass combat. So this would be like a sergeant and a group of 4 minions, for example.
Sure.
So
that sounds
just keep it pretty small. I mean, I haven't even looked at mass combat rules. So
the mass combat's a system unto itself.
Yeah.
Squadron rules are, I don't know, like it's a little bit different than like the stat line of the guys you're leading completely evaporates.
It's very
gone.
simple. It's mostly boost die, and
Yeah, you just kind of check them off when they get separate. We lost Tyree, lost touch.
yeah.
Okay.
We're Bowski.
Yeah, it's extra hit points. It's boost die for certain things. Like if you have them, you roll leadership to assemble the squadron, right? If you do it outside of combat before combat start, it's really easy, and it's a check. You're going to start with the thing ready. Once you have your squad, then you assign, I don't know what they call it,
Posture.
Yeah, something like that. So you could have them let's go on recon thing, right? So they're extra alert for an ambush. So that gives bonus dice to your vigilance checks for an ambush. Or you could go for let's set an ambush, and then it gives you extra dice for stealth. There's lay down a line of fire, so that gives you bonus dice to attack. Or take defensive positions, and it gives you defense. I think it gives you a die of defense. But you're using the main PC as it's almost one-on-one combat. It's peripheral things going on the side.
But I don't. And if you want to keep track of it, though, when guys do get separated from the group, then they just become like a loose minion.
A minion group, if you want.
Yeah.
Unless you do a leadership check and then sort of reassemble, right? It has a very nice feature because it assumes that it being some sort of commando group, it assumes that one guy in the group knows demolitions and one guy in the group knows whatever. So you can access skills that your player character doesn't have by saying go into specialist configuration. It's like you're standing outside the bunker and it's like Kowalski, step up and open the door, and one guy goes in and uses mechanics on the door even though your commander doesn't have the skill, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's I don't know if it's not super complex. It's not really. It's pretty easy. It's fun. We could still do it. So, but it's not super complex. Yeah.
Do you want to run with that, Ivan?
Yeah, that sounds cool. Hey, Vasquez, cover me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So then,
let's rock.
Okay, there we go. Thanks, Vasquez.
How about Eloy, if you would, and we don't have to set a date for this yet or anything like that tonight, but if you set the scene, you lay out the topography, and we'll just pick sides blindly. Okay, so to me, it doesn't matter if it's one side is getting ambushed scenario, or you've got to infiltrate the base scenario, or whatever it is, but you kind of create the setting and the setup, and then we'll just pick,
and run it like a little wargaming scenario thing, right? Where I give objectives to Ivan and objectives to you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right?
And sure. And then that'll give us a chance, both of us as players will get to exercise both of the, the total complete set of the rules. So.
Sure. That makes sense.
Let's go. I look forward
to entertaining to think about the GM role there, because it's like you're describing threat. Like when somebody rolls threat, who describes
the GM
or the other side, right? So it doesn't.
Well, I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me.
Sure, we could do that. It'll be fun. All right, so we'll do that. We'll figure out a date and keep doing these things. And I like that idea, Brian. If anybody wants to practice something, we get together, we hammer it out beforehand, we show up, and then just play a little bit. So it's pretty cool.
It'd be good for it's safe, just to exercise some rules. And it doesn't have to be very long and prolonged. Like, say you want to try the slicing thing, get together for a half an hour and say, okay, let's do some slicing, just to get the dice on the table, get the rule played out, see how it looks. This is that deliberate, purposeful practice that I keep pushing.
Yeah. And it's the only way we're going to learn. I mean, I
muscle through the system,
I felt much better going through the weapons because the weapon qualities are it just freaks me out every time there's a weapon.
Oh, yeah,
And
it's
I flip on the back and it's breach, blast, guided, limited. Oh God. And it's like, oh my God.
So blast is if you can spend 2 advantages and
boom.
Extra everything that's in engaged range or maybe might be close in Starship, I don't know. And takes that damage, including if you had missed. So if you roll advantages, even if you miss, you can activate that. Breach is
that's when the baby's coming out feet first, I think.
It's just ignore soak. If I recall correctly, it's just ignore soak.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And linked is 2 advantages to activate. So that's the number I gotta remember because some are 2, some are 3. Like the guided missile turned out to be 3 to roll a second attack. Like linked, if it's linked 3, then you with 2 you link it once. With 4 you link it twice, and with 6 you link it 3 times. But with 8 you can't link anymore because it's link 3, whatever it is. So
that's been one of the most interesting things that I've found so far. Going back and looking how it started out with Warhammer, and then diving in and looking at some of the rules that are in Star Wars, and then looking at how it changed again. Some things in Genesis, like the range bands rules for Genesis. Have changed. So when you start looking, it's one of those differences to kind of look at. Like opposed rolls in Warhammer, oh my God, was it way overly complicated in the original design. So it's much nicer now, the opposed roll.
Yeah. We were talking about Genesis recently, though. Like, they really don't have the same kind of chase mechanics, which is unfortunate. Because the chase mechanics in Star Wars are great. Like, we had a lot of fun in our games with the chase mechanics.
That's the thing. I mean, if you like the chase mechanics from Star Wars, just bring them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, those worked really well. Really, all the times we've done a chase, it's been
insane amounts of fun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's coming up for our next session. That's what I got to get ready for this weekend since we're not playing. The next session will be using chase rules.
And it's so weird because it just if you spent like time with the grids and like wanting to make terrain or like the environment matter like with miniatures stuff, it's so eerie because it's like a lot of that elusive stuff is sudden, like it happens I've spent years trying to make like, oh, I want to have this battle where like people are balancing over a rickety bridge on a boiling lake of lava, and like, oh, wouldn't that be cool? And and
6 months later when you're done building the terrain.
And this stuff just happens by itself. You just have to,
Hey, 3 threat. Whoa, that's a rickety bridge.
years ago, like I think it might have been like the first version of the Star Wars WotC rules, like remember the Star Wars WotC before Saga? No, before Saga. The first time they came out.
Yeah, they did 3.5.
They did like the 3.5, then they did the revised core, and then they did Saga. So WotC did it 3 times, but I think for the first one, I wanted to do a chase. And I remember just taking blank sheets of regular paper and just drawing like a canyon on it and putting tape and another sheet on top of that and covering like the dinner table and trying to run that with like minis of some kind and adding terrain that people could interact with. It was so primitive, so much trouble for a very short chase.
Yeah.
And this is it. Just the chase rules are beautiful. They're just great. No map, no nothing, and it's fantastic.
And then kind of another one of the things that you'll start seeing too in Genesis, and they're going to be talking about this on the Dice Pool Podcast's webpage, is the use of zones. So they are kind of like, they are inspired by 2D20, that idea of, and it's not like zone to zone like how they break it out in Conan, but it's more like, okay, here is the bar, and then here is the street. Those are 2 different zones to be in. It's kind of takes the 2D20 idea of zone and just abstracts it out a little bit larger.
I guess I just don't know why you have to formalize that. It's like you're in the bar or you're in the street.
Well, it has.
Why do we have to make that explicit?
What they blend now is that there's no difference between vehicle ranges and man-to-man ranges,
which is
all
fine.
those bands have been blended together.
I mean, I think that works just like for what Genesis is trying to do, which is pulpy movies of any kind.
I'll debate that.
I'll debate you.
Because the last game was not pulp for us. The last game was sheer horror.
I'm the jury's still out on that vehicle, whether it improved or not. Because I kind of looked at it and it's like, man, my chase rules were so easy, and so I don't know.
If you're flying a TIE fighter, man, it's horror. I can tell you that. It's horror. It's a horror game. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll play some more.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm gonna work on some stuff.
Yep.
I'm going.
Cool.
See you guys. Thank you.
Peace, man.
Bye bye.